Hey guys, welcome back. So now getting back into the Immortal Hulk, and with doing so we come to the point to where like a power shift is taking place, two of which I kind of expected, but the third, it really caught me off guard. So let's get into it, but first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping right back in, we're still dealing with Banner, whose mind has been manipulated by Xemnu, who once again has given Banner these false memories and caused Banner to believe just this history of him being the villain. And I'd say even a better description of that is like he caused Banner to believe that he wants to be the villain, or that being the bad guy is truly his motive, which on the surface isn't too far from what him and the Devil Hulk have already been working on. But even with that and kind of leaning into that mindset, there's a brief moment where Banner just kind of thinks like, what if he lashed out and acted on this new agenda or these new goals? And let's just say that that outcome wasn't pretty in the slightest. But even at this point, like we've seen before, Dr. McGowan, Doc Samson, and Rick Jones, they've more or less come to the realization that Xemnu has been messing with Banner's head. And because of this, very cautiously they try to wheel him back in. But as time progresses, it seems like even more of his memories are being twisted, like the death of his father for example. And here with his memories manipulated, he says that he did it intentionally. But as we know, originally that wasn't the case. But we know the real story because it's been revisited a number of times. But definitively, as we know, Brian killed Bruce's mother, which is why he wasn't allowed at the funeral. And later when Bruce was there mourning his mother, Brian came and picked a fight with Bruce. Brian slipped and he busted his head on his late wife's tombstone. And really when you think about it, it's a low blow from Xemnu to take a memory like that and twist it. But because of what's going on with Banner, the real answer, though discovered by Dr. McGowan, it can't be solved by her. But rather this answer has to come from within. Which brings us back to the return of Green Scar Hulk, who we had seen recently come back to help Savage Hulk, who was being suppressed by Banner. But from here, where Green Scar Hulk takes Savage Hulk into the mindscape of Banner, of which Green Scar is trying to get Savage to remember, but of course also he wants him to recognize that a few things have also changed around here. But I also gotta say that the mindscape of Banner, which is also referred to as the inner world, being like Banner's inner world where all the Hulks stay, like I really like that concept, and I'll get to why in just a moment. But when they get here, you can see like there's a monument of Betty, showing that she's revered and almost like a sphinx. And you even got like anxiety manifested with Brian Banner just floating around with all the other villains that the Hulk has ever fought. And it's like, look in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, that's my anxiety. Oh my goodness. Just floating around like a Goodyear blimp. But it's around this time where Green Scar explains to Savage Hulk like where he's been all this time. Because really and truly we haven't seen this guy in years. But he explains to Green Scar Hulk that he has been working on Banner from the inside, cleaning this place up and getting it in order. Which is pretty crazy because it really makes it sound like he could have came out at any time that he wanted to. But even with him deciding to stay in here, that just leans into the whole ideal of this being the inner world. And who better to reshape the inner world than Green Scar Hulk, the breaker of worlds. And speaking of which, it's here when they climb to one of the higher pinnacles within the inner worlds to where we see that Green Scar Hulk has taken Devil Hulk out of the leading position. And it's here where he has Devil Hulk chained up again, to where this time he says he's not going to let him get back out. But there's also a bit of this factor to where Green Scar Hulk seems to be a bit disgusted at Devil Hulk, saying that he's been doing nothing but causing trouble this whole time and ordering everyone else around, which we'd more so seen with Savage Hulk, because Devil Hulk at times would just take control while Savage Hulk is already hulked out. But it's also here for a moment where Savage Hulk, he tells Green Scar to take it easy on Devil Hulk, because like we've heard him say before, like we're all Hulks, almost as if he means to really say that we're all the same. But of course with the way that Savage Hulk speaks, it doesn't really come out that clear. So Green Scar is like, I don't know what you're talking about, but don't touch that chain. But of course, for whatever reason, Savage Hulk tries to move the chain and likely to try to help Devil Hulk, because once again, at this time, Savage Hulk sees Devil Hulk kind of as a friend. But not only that, he feels like all the Hulks should work together and not be against each other. But when he moves this chain, Banner very much catches a chain reaction, which on the outside to everyone else who doesn't really know what's going on in his mind, it really looks just super crazy. But it's also here where Green Scar lets Savage Hulk know that within the inner world, things work a little different. And I'm gonna say right now, I don't care what world you in, you don't lift nothing with that form. Like, that's a recipe for scoliosis. But Green Scar lets him know, like, one, in here it's not all about strength, and two, just as a reminder, you're not the strongest Hulk there is. But even still, like with the strength that Savage Hulk does have, Green Scar urges him to help somebody who actually needs it, which is something I gotta say, like, I like seeing Green Scar in this role. And I mean, I would love to see him come out and just tear things apart, which is something we may get later on. Like, I believe if Banner is truly threatened, then Green Scar will come to the forefront and do what he needs to do. But at least for now, with him working on Banner from the inside, it really gives much credit back to that part of him, which is why he's the strongest Hulk, which isn't necessarily because of what happened in World War Hulk, but because of what happened before. Because amongst the different Hulks, this guy, he's the best leader. But while the time he's taking Savage Hulk to where he's needed, they then pass Joe Fixit, who's like locked in this bubble, which was actually Xemnu's doing, with locking Joe Fixit away rather quickly and easier because he was one of the weaker Hulks. But it's here where Green Scar Hulk takes Savage Hulk where he's needed, and with doing so, he takes him to childhood of Banner Hulk, which is not what he's named specifically, but that's what I'm calling him. And y'all can come for me in the comments if you want. But my main reason for doing so is mainly because back in Hulk issue 377, to where once again we entered the mind of Bruce Banner, we had seen this representation of his childhood within his mind before, which at the time in his mind hulked out. So for that reason, I put him in the class of Hulks. But Green Scar points out to Savage Hulk, like, this is what you smell in here that's just not right, because Xemnu has went for Banner's childhood and started from there, giving him the fake childhood that Banner always wanted, which isn't the truth at all. Because really, like it or not, Savage Hulk is the truer representation of Banner's childhood, and not this happy little kid watching cartoons every morning and having every toy that he wanted. And I think if I remember correctly, like, in Hulk issue 377, the kid hulked out into Savage Hulk, which actually makes what Green Scar is saying make more sense. But with Savage Hulk getting a better understanding of this, it's here where he knows what he has to do. Because when he sees this childhood, he just remembers that Banner, he was a child that grew up with pain. And much like we've heard Savage Hulk say recently a lot, that Hulk hurts, Hulk always hurts, and it was from Banner's childhood where that truly began. But when Savage Hulk breaks through this television and he looks through like this deep hole that's behind it, he sees his way out. And when he does, Green Scar tells him to go through there and get Xemnu, and Savage Hulk is like, I'm gonna get him for Hulk. And man, when Savage Hulk digs through, it is the most uncomfortable looking transformation that you could imagine. But even still, it makes sense, with it being a visualization of him breaking through after being in a repressed former state. And though it appears this way, because I don't want nobody to get confused, like, this is still Banner's body. But this transformation was more like a shedding of skin. And we've seen it before, but for the life of me, I can't think of when right now. But when Savage Hulk gets out, he lets them know straight up, like, first of all, Xemnu got people thinking he the Hulk and I'm not the Hulk. And anytime I've said Hulk, people think I'm talking nonsense. And when he's saying this, pointing to everybody here at Shadow Base, he's like, I need to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. And in a terrifying way, more or less, he's like, do I need to repeat myself? And from there, everybody's pretty much like, okay, sure thing, boss. But not long after that, and also with getting the Hulk a pair of draws, the Hulk then explained that Roxxon sent Big Monsters as a big show for Xemnu. So with that, Xemnu is clearly working with Roxxon, and for that reason, we finna just pull up and bring the house down. And when they get inside, there's like a horde of cybernetic zombies who are transformed by Xemnu that they have to fight their way through to even try to make it upstairs. But I'm not even gonna front like they worried about that, because Hulk. And not just Savage Hulk here, but it's a team of Hulks. So busting down these cyborg zombies ain't nothing. But while Hulk and everyone else is downstairs, Dario Agger sees this on the security footage, and he didn't even know about the whole cyborg transformation situation. So not only is he freaking out because Xemnu does not have the Hulk under control, but also he been doing some weird stuff and not telling Dario about it. So Dario hits panic mode, he calls for security, and no answer. And it's pretty much here where Xemnu's like, look at me, I am the captain now. And it's right there where Xemnu contorts and he puts Dario Agger inside of the Cyborg Juice Machine 3000. And when I tell you that Dario is terrified, because Xemnu told him, like, I'm gonna give you a first person's perspective on how sausage is made. And Dario is calling out to any god that he can think of. But rather than just tooling around here all day, Hulk tears out the elevator and makes his way up, because he's ready to get to Xemnu, to get to Dario Agger. He's ready to end this. And when he does this, only Rick comes with him, so that Harpy and Doc can stay back and fight off the cyborg zombie looking people, which in itself is still a messed up situation because those people worked for Roxxon. But when the Hulk made his way up to the top floor, opened up a door, there, guess who we saw? None other than the chewed up and spit out version of the Minotaur. And the Minotaur, man, I'm not sure if he's not done transforming, but it ain't looking good. Like, what are those, beads? But immediately after, when Xemnu sneaks up on the Hulk, like, shouldn't you be subduing this planet? Like, I don't know why. Like, in my mind, he just sounds weird like that. But with sneaking up on Savage Hulk, Xemnu then grabs his head, and he then makes his attempt to manipulate the mind directly because he knows at this point that he cannot control the Hulk's body. And even to do that, Xemnu has to draw the energy from the souls of all the people all over that he's manipulated already. And when Xemnu does this, Rick Jones feeds Hulk more gamma energy just to buy him time. And of course, Xemnu's like, oh me, oh my, it is no use, what are you doing? But what Xemnu doesn't understand, because in a way he is winning against Savage Hulk. And Rick even admits that, but then he tells Xemnu to look a little bit deeper. And when Xemnu looks into the eyes of the Hulk, he sees Green Scar Hulk. And when he takes the wheel, literally spikes grow through the arms of the Hulk and out his back, and he hits Xemnu with the one-hitter brutality. And Xemnu's done. Like, there's no fight here. Like, oh me, oh my, some of that. And when Green Scar Hulk does this, he tells Xemnu, welcome to Planet Hulk. Which really should tell you something, because even though he's been spending all this time working on the mind of Banner and working on the inside of Banner, which at this point has clearly been his choice, but even with doing so, he still considers this his planet. And like, he doesn't necessarily have to sit up a throne nowhere, because he knows, and he knows that everybody else knows, what he's capable of if need be. And I'd even go as far to say, like, because of the work that he's been doing internally on Banner, that has also caused a change in him. Because much like Savage Hulk said, Hulk is Hulk. So if you do any good for one of the Hulks, you're doing good for all of them. But also with that reasoning, like, look at the spikes that came out through the Hulk's arms when Green Scar Hulk came out this time. Because they're very much like the spikes which are in his armor, which may still even come out anytime that Green Scar comes out from here forward. Which, with all things considered, could make him a whole different type of beast. But even with that, like, it also brings me to mind, like, the Sentry, who's really one of the few people who could even contest Green Scar. And with the changes that we've seen with him recently, and I'd say most recently through Annihilation Scourge, but I think it would be quite interesting to see these two go back at it again. Like now with their newer versions of themselves, just so we can see how that would pan out. But getting back to Savage Hulk, to where he comes back, he sees the spikes retracting. But also when this happens, it appears that the world just goes back to normal. And for Savage Hulk, who didn't really know what just happened, for him, he just like blacked out. And when he came back, everything was done. And when Rick tells him, like, why don't you go downstairs, check on Betty and Doc, and Hulk leaves to go do that, and while Rick is here, he has a moment with Dario Agger. And it's pretty strange because the way that Rick is talking, it's almost as if it's not even Rick speaking. But when he's here and he has this moment with Dario Agger, he pretty much tells him, like, I'm gonna allow you to live. Because even still, he believes that Dario could be useful. But in addition, he also lets Dario know that he's no longer in the powerful position that he used to be. Because some are meant to follow, and some are meant to lead. And come to find out, it is the leader speaking through Rick Jones. He's in hell, he got the green door in his hand, he done pulled a skinwalker on Brian Banner. Like, this is insane, because not only is this just the leader from any point in time, but this very much looks like the leader who we had seen from the double-sized 25th issue, to where at the time his hair looked a bit different, but he had on like the same suit. And at the time we had seen him take samples from like the 9th Cosmos, and it was one of those twists at the end of that issue to where it was like, how did he get here? Because was the one below all just killing everybody and he was like, ooh, play dead, and that's how you survived the end of the universe? I don't know. But real quick, just want to give a shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for all of your support, because it's really you guys that keeps things going in crazy times like these. But for everybody, like, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And like, what I'm most eager to hear is like, what do you guys think are the plans of the leader? Like, what do you guys think that he's up to while all of this is going on? But let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll do it again in the next one. All right, later.